We are here today to remember what happened on October 22nd, 1989, 22 years ago. The abduction of Jacob Wetterling from St. Joseph, Minnesota. Jacob's abduction forever changed the way we live our lives in Minnesota and raise our children. Since that day, there has been great leadership by Patty Wetterling and many others who have worked to provide law enforcement training on child abductions and missing persons. Our children and communities are better educated and more aware. And we have tools like the Minnesota Amber Alert Plan. The Minnesota Amber Alert Plan was created in 2002, and to date, 26 Amber Alert activations have occurred. In each case, the child has been located, recovered, and returned home safely. Without the Amber Alert Plan, these children may still be missing today. The Amber Alert Plan was created as a result of partnerships between law enforcement, the media, and the citizens of the state of Minnesota. The goal of the Amber Alert Plan is to get information out as quick as possible to as many people as possible. Time is of the essence in stranger abduction cases. Statistics show that 70% of children who are abducted by a stranger are murdered within the first few hours of that abduction. We are very fortunate in Minnesota to have the Minnesota Amber Alert fundraiser, which works to provide funds that help us make this program successful, in turn saving the lives of Minnesota children. Today, to accept the check on behalf of the BCA is Patty Wetterling. I would like to introduce Patty Wetterling and David Trejo from the Minnesota Amber Alert fundraiser.
My name is Dave Trejo. Got started here with the Amber Alert in 2003. Not really thinking about what we wanted to make a fundraiser for, but we wanted it to be an impact on not just one child, but on many children. We knew it had to be a great cause. And we're sitting in the back room there talking, and Patty Wetterling's wondering why she's there. But you know what? She is a big part of why we did what we did. We want to help fund and get these kids home. And right now, Minnesota is on 26 for 26. All of them have come home. And you know, it's all these people over here that are with me. They've been through it just about we're going into 10 years with this, and most of them have stuck through it for the 10 years, and we're just going to keep on going with it as long as there's a need for it. Want to say something here?
With that, I would like to introduce Patty Wetterling.
I am so proud to be here and to be part of this. This is really exciting. Just imagine if you were the family of one of those 26 kids. We didn't have the Amber Alert in 1989, and I remember about 2 o'clock in the morning calling the sheriff and saying, is it okay if we call the media? A friend of ours had watched a TV show and knew of a child who was returned because of your ability to get the story out. And so about 2 o'clock, they went to my husband's chiropractic office and started looking up phone numbers and began a process. So this is just such a gift, and I'm just really touched by their efforts of over the years. Are you going to share? $118,000 this group has contributed to this amazing initiative. Minnesota is batting 1,000, and it is an opportunity for all of us to take the time and we've got to build a world that values its children, and we know that kids come home because everyday citizens are aware, and they look at pictures and they see something that doesn't look quite right, and they call the police, and that's how kids are found. And nobody drove home the need for hope more than J.C. Dugard after 18 and a half years was found because of an everyday citizen and some really highly tuned police officers. So our hope is strong, and we're so grateful that you chose to do this on this day. Thank you.
Well, on behalf of the Minnesota Amber Alert fundraiser and the thousands of bikers who have been with us throughout the 9 years, we are proud to present the check for $18,000 to the Minnesota BCA, which will put us at $118,000 that we have raised for this great cause.
Again, a huge thank you to the Minnesota Amber Alert fundraiser, all the people that commit their time day after day to work on raising funds to support this statewide program. And we would ask you to, if you haven't already, signed up to receive the Amber Alert through your cell phone, through the alerts on our website. Please go to the website and sign up to receive the Amber Alert so you can also help to locate missing children. And we ask for your help in getting Jacob's picture out to the public today as we continue to look for Jacob and all the other missing children in Minnesota. Thank you.
Folks are available for any one-on-ones too if you want to do anything.
How does it make you feel? I mean,
It's just, you know, my heart just smiles when a child is returned home. I get those Amber Alerts on my cell phone, and you look and you pray and you hope. And the BCA's done a phenomenal job of managing this. I think we're one of the highest rates of success in the nation on the Amber Alert, and I just think for me, tomorrow's a tough day. It's 22 years on the 22nd, and Jacob was 11, and this is 2 more 11s that have passed, and we still don't have our answers. We know those first few hours are the most critical in terms of getting information out and investigation. And the study that Janelle was citing is of the kids murdered, most were murdered right away, but we know that not all the kids are murdered. And so we've got our continued hope to find one day. I believe everybody in Minnesota needs to know, where is Jacob, who did this, and what happened. And that's what we do every single day. We pray.
Do you think this system would have made a difference?
I think that the combination would have made a huge difference. We didn't have law enforcement training to the level that we have now. We didn't have the means to get the information out. We now know that about 2/3 of the time the person who takes the child has a reason to be in the area. It's not somebody from California or New York, you know, who ambled in and did this terrible thing. It's usually somebody who lives there, works there, relatives are there. There's some reason that they're there. And all of that information combined together would have made a huge difference. But we didn't know, and it's been a process of learning and then incorporating what we know into having a better response.
David, why do you do this?
You know, when we first started out, I was asked that same question, and then they all thought that something had happened to one of our kids or something like that. Wasn't the case. We started it because we weren't quite sure what we wanted to raise money for, but we knew we wanted to do a motorcycle event, and we tossed around a couple of different ideas, and we came up with raise money for Amber Alert. Amber Alert was just getting off on its own at that time in Minnesota, and we thought, well, what a great time to start helping them out. You know, with the start of Minnesota starting the Amber Alert program. We thought that was going to be a great cause because it was going to benefit a lot of people. And that's what we wanted to do, benefit a lot of people. So.
These kids are following. What goes through your head?
Oh, we're pretty happy. Yeah, we're for me, I'm thankful to be part of it, to have raised money to help go through with some of this stuff. And it's not just the money that we donate to the BCA, it's the awareness that we want to put out towards parents, what they can do to help protect their kids. I mean, there's so many things that you do every day life that you wouldn't think that, oh, that's could be a reason for somebody to look into somebody to abduct somebody. You know, it's the awareness the parents need to take too. It's not just the kids disappearing.
What does $18,000 get you as far as the Amber Alerts are concerned?
That's a good question.
We use the money to provide training statewide to law enforcement on how to respond to missing persons and child abductions, so that money goes towards that. But each time we have an activation of the Amber Alert plan, it costs us anywhere between $3,000 and $9,000. It varies depending on how many alerts we send out. If we have an activation, an update, we're adding vehicle information, or we're canceling the alert. So there's continual costs in sending that information out. Correct. We use a broadcasting system so we can quickly alert the public, and we're sending it out by fax, email, so that we're getting into gas stations, banks, schools, convenience stores, and then we're also using all the other tools that are available, the emergency alert system, the Department of Transportation road signs. We're using the cell phone activations and all of our secondary distributions through the National Center as well. It depends on how many activation or how many times we're sending out an alert. Yep.
Just quickly, what is the event? I'm sorry, I don't know, but what is your event? Is it a ride or what is it?
It's a motorcycle ride that we have every year. It's the second weekend in June every year.
From where to where?
It varies. Sometimes we go to Wisconsin. Sometimes we stay in Minnesota. We vary because we're from Hastings, and we get support from both sides of the river there. So we there's plenty of nice roads to go on both sides. So
You should come. It's a
second week in June.